Hello everyone, welcome back to Quality Decoded. Today we're going to talk about the test automation pyramid. This is a concept first coined by Mike Cohn in his book Succeeding with Agile. And we're going to talk about it. It's essentially a roadmap for how to set up your test suite for your software. I think most people today have unit tests, but you may be missing out on other layers of testing that are important to making a more maintainable and robust set of software. So we're just going to talk about what that means and what all the different layers are and why it's important. So let's go ahead and dive into a picture diagram here I've got. So this is the test automation pyramid. You can see the unit tests are at the bottom, and those are the most abundant type of test. You're going to have a lot of those. And then as you go up the pyramid, you're going to have less and less tests. So you'll have less integration tests or service layer tests, and then even fewer end-to-end or UI tests. So let's talk about why you have fewer. Like, what is the importance here? What's the reason for this? So your unit tests are way more isolated. They're in a specific unit of code. They've got a smaller context, and they're going to be way more reliable and robust, and over time they're not going to just fail randomly. So you want a lot of those. They're easy to write, quick to run. All of those types of things make them the most abundant type of test that you should have. Now when you go up to the next layer, your service layer, your integration test layer, here you're going to be testing how things work together, maybe how multiple components in your system integrate together, maybe how your whole system kind of integrates together or integrates with external services or databases and things like that. So at this layer, there's just more potential for failure, more potential for like false positives where your test suite will say something is bad and then you go check it out and it's actually not. And we want to avoid those. So you're going to have fewer integration tests. And then the problem is almost exponential from there when you go to end-to-end and UI tests. At that point, there's way more potential for failure. I think anybody that's written end-to-end tests is probably very familiar with this. If your front end of your website, if the UI is very, very simple, then you might be able to have some pretty robust end-to-end tests that pretty much never fail. But as soon as there's like a added layer of complexity there in the UI and you're trying to test that, that's when you're going to see just random failures happening all the time. And they're not necessarily indicative of a real problem. It's just a problem with the test suite perhaps. And so because of that, these tests are way more costly. They obviously take longer to write. They take longer to run, and there's more failures. So you want to just try to avoid them as much as possible. Not to say you shouldn't have them. You definitely want that layer of testing. You just don't want a lot of them. If you invert the pyramid, like some teams do, you end up with not a whole lot of unit tests, a few integration tests, and then a ton of end-to-end tests. It's like the inverse of this pyramid. It's called the ice cream cone anti-pattern essentially, and that's really what you want to avoid. You don't want to put all your eggs in that end-to-end basket because your test suite's going to take forever to run, and it's going to fail all the time. Nobody's going to have confidence in the tests, so whether or not they pass or fail won't help out in any way really. So it's just not valuable, and we want the test suite to be valuable. So when you're writing those unit tests, make them as granular as possible, as isolated as possible, mock out everything, make it so they're super robust, super quick to run, and extremely valuable, and have a lot of those. And then when you do your service layer tests, and this could be like API tests, it could be like unit tests where you just don't mock out as much things, like you test more things with less isolation and less mocking. You're going to have, fewer of those than your unit tests. And when you get to your end-to-end tests, just be careful is all I can say. Don't write a lot of them. I like to treat them kind of like a smoke test suite. So let's say you have a form with a lot of fields, and certain fields cause changes in the DOM where new fields show up, and validation changes based on the field that you select. There's a lot of permutations here that you need to test, and you should not be doing that in an end-to-end UI test, right? That type of testing, in my opinion, that should be in your unit tests or in your integration layer if you have to. Your end-to-end test would just go through, select the most common options, and submit, and make sure that the form works, right? So I think it's just really a state of thinking when it comes to your test suite. The pyramid isn't perfect. It's overly simplistic, but I think the general idea that you get from the pyramid holds true and should be followed by teams still today. I love it. It's proven to help me write very successful software. So I just wanted to share this with you. There is a very good article on Martin Fowler's website, for his blog, about the test automation pyramid, which has a lot of the same information that I'm saying. So I'm going to put the link to that in the description. Definitely check it out. But I think that's it. If you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.